Okay, so thanks, Jen. And those of you who don't know Jen, Jen is our wonderful facilitator here at Firecircle. So we'll see who else is joining us. So I did want to spend today on the elements of forecasting. Now I know Kyla and Kim, we're very familiar with these the I call them the four horsemen of forecasting, right? Seasonality, inventory, occupancy, and price. So we can talk about those four things, but I wanted to make sure that everybody understood what I meant by those four things, because they are the four elements that go into creating a forecast or a projection from your for your business. Thanks, Sharon. No problem. Thanks for letting us know. And we've got Kat joining us. Hi, Kat. I may repeat that little intro a couple of times as people come into the call, but essentially, I'm going to ask you guys some questions and just get a feeling for who understands these things to the best of your knowledge. So when I say seasonality, hey Mark, nice to have Mark here. When I say seasonality, the seasonality of your business, do you know what I mean? Someone tell me what the seasons are for their business when you're operating, your operating season. Hey Mark, who wants to volunteer their operating season? What I mean by that.
I can share.
Thanks, Bella.
So I sort of have two different operating seasons. One is my sauna season, which runs from October till May, and then the other is my stand-up paddleboard season, which runs from June to September.
Yeah, exactly. So, in those two seasons, Kyla is making different types of inventory available. I'll get to inventory in a second. But is there someone on the call who operates 365 days a year, 7 days a week, let's say, because it's online, your business is only online? Is there anyone who has availability every day of the year? Anyone? No. Okay. Um, Mark, okay, the lodging that you have, Mark, at the winery, you're open every day of the year. You have room inventory every single day of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we're open for bookings year round. Our typical busy season is June to September, but we've been trying to build some shoulder season volume. We also do tours and tastings, and we get people calling outside of our regular operating hours in the tasting room, and we try and accommodate them. We also have RV spots for we have Harvest Host and what's the other one? Hip Camp. We are seeing some winter bookings.
Right. Okay. So Mark was telling us his operating season is every day of the year, essentially, unless you maybe close for a couple of weeks to go on a holiday or something like that, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Is any time in the year where you're completely shut down?
Well, I mean, if you called me on Christmas Day, I might not take the call. But
Okay,
no,
so it's 364 days a year.
I mean, we want to build our shoulder season volume, so we'll always take an opportunity if it makes sense. And we've done some co-marketing with Mount Baldy. We're a accommodation partner. It's a ski area about 40 minutes drive from us, and we did have one booking this year, and we offer a 25% off. We have 25% off ski passes. So we've had a few, February visits that are ski oriented. But most wine tourism is spring, summer, fall.
Yeah, so you actually have a season for wine tourism and then you have a season for winter tourism. So you kind of have two seasons, but your business is open 365 days a year.
Yeah.
Let me ask Kim, what's your open season? When you're operating days or months?
Operating would be May long weekend till October Thanksgiving.
So about 180 days, give or take, something
About
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm,
so
mhm.
do you see what I'm asking? I'm asking all of you, when are you open for business? So that's the first question, is when are you open for business? And you can all decide which days of the week, which weeks of the month, and which months of the year you're open for business. So that is a decision that you might make. It might be a decision made for you because of the seasonality of your destination. Like nobody's coming in the dead of winter, right? Or it might be the seasonality of your operation. You don't have winterized cabins, therefore no one can come in the winter. And it may just be that the demand for where you are in the world, like I said, is just a certain time of the year. And that might be winter tourism and it might be summer tourism. But what I'm asking all of you is, when are you going to make your business available to your audience? Kim?
Can I also say that I could be open in the winter because my cabins are insulated, all those things. I choose not to be.
I love it. That's a lifestyle decision, right?
Yes, it is.
I
Yeah.
love that. And this is, I mean, I really, I want to ask Kat, because you have a photography business, which gosh, like you could make yourself available to do photography, like, I don't know, day and night, or you could say, I'm only going to do my work during these days or these weeks or these months of the year. And I love that Kim is saying, this is a lifestyle decision for us. And the business that they run in their season from May to October cash flows enough for them to say, we don't need to be open in the winter, right? So that's what I mean by seasonality. It's like, when are you operating? And then, okay, so what I love is that Kyla mentioned, well, not specifically, but I'm going to ask you about your inventory, Kyla, but Mark specifically named 3 types of inventory. What were the 3 types of inventory that he mentioned?
You asking me, or you want someone else to state my situation?
Well, just what inventory you offer, because I heard B&B rooms, I heard wine tasting,
Yeah.
and I heard camping.
Yes, there are, and we have also pricing that's specific for the seasons, because the hotels in Soyuz go from $100 a night to $400 a night depending on the time of year. There's dynamic pricing. It's very much a thing in our market.
But that's a whole other metric we're going to get to.
Well, this
But
is a pricing discussion, so I just thought I'd mention that.
it's pricing. It's actually a forecasting discussion, and pricing, you have to understand your inventory before you go into pricing, right? So there's 3 things that you have going on throughout the year, 3 types of inventory. So the B&B is open 364 days a year. How
No
many?
breakfast, just an inn.
It's an inn. It's an inn.
No,
How
no
many?
B, just B.
Just it's an inn. How
We
many?
decided not to offer food service because it's just not something we're good at or focused on.
I recall that from being up there. How many rooms do you have, Mark? Remind me, because I should know
We
this.
have 5 in our core offering, but the 2 owner suites are available, but they're not in online inventory. So
Okay,
if we have a buyout and need more rooms, we'll bring those in, but we don't regularly offer them. But we're considering
right,
it. But all the regulations on short-term rentals in the province and the city are a barrier we haven't figured out yet.
right.
The regulatory
Uh,
climate is complicated.
it's very complicated up there. It's complicated everywhere. So Mark's actual inventory that's available for sale is the number of days that he's open times the number of rooms he has available every night. So he has 5 times 364, because we're not counting Christmas Day. Mark has 1,820 room nights to sell. 1,820 room nights. Kim, how many campsites do you have?
We can have 2 RVs.
Oh,
We
so
could
okay,
have
I'll
many,
go
but
with Mark. You
we
have
choose
2 sites, 2 sites.
maximum of 2. Yeah, at one time.
Okay, so you have, if we're saying 364 times 2, you have 7. Well, those aren't year round though, are they? The campsites?
No one wants to stay in a camper when it's minus 25, but in theory
No.
they could. We also,
Okay, let's not go on theory though. Let's go on when the demand is there and like when you would sort of officially make those, like, you're gonna run those two campsites sort of May to October mostly.
yeah, that's when
So
most
let's say
of the
180 days times two, so that's 360. There's 360 units of inventory for Mark to sell of the campground. And then how many wine tastings do you do in it? And what season? Is that March to October, 6 months?
well, we staff the tasting room from May long to Thanksgiving, but we have an online reservation system. You go on our website and book a tasting, and we'll staff it if we see fit. Like if
Okay,
one person wants to come on a Tuesday, we'll call them back and say we don't have staff that day. Would you like to come on Saturday when we have somebody? So we've had maybe 5 tasting bookings in the so-called off season, but we can accommodate most people that book online. We'll move people around and make sure we're there.
Okay, but what, if you were to say like how much inventory you would make available of wine tastings? Like, let's say that, let's just talk about the regular season when you're around and you are open during the day and you have people. How many people come to a wine tasting?
Well, we could accommodate 1 to 18 people, and over 10 is outdoors, and that's only when the weather's reasonable, which is kind of like, April to September. And we try to have tastings when they're staffed, and we staff 3 to 4 days a week from May to October.
Okay, but how many times can you do a wine tasting during
Well,
the
I
wine?
appreciate that you were wanting to put a number on it, but there isn't an exact answer to your question because you could have 2 tastings going at the same time with 2 staff. So it's really infinite.
But yes, there is an answer to my question. And the reason I'm pushing you on this is that until you can define the amount of inventory of the wine tastings that you would aim to sell, not that you necessarily would sell, but that you're aiming to sell in a projection. And you can say, like, you could say, we are going to run 10 wine tastings a day times 180 days times an average of 6 people. And that would be like your target. You may not run all those, but you want to be able to forecast what would happen if you ran that many tastings. So you want to pick a reasonable number. So is a reasonable number of wine tastings 5?
2 a day times 3 days a week times 16 weeks a year times 6 people average would be wonderful.
Okay, what a great place to start. So 2 a day times 6 people times 3 days times 3 days a week times 16.
The average group size is 2 to 4 people.
Okay, but this is so good. You just came up with an inventory number of 576 wine tasting seats in a season that you try and sell.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is a really great place to start.
There's also another category, which is tour groups, which aren't private people, and we're actively marketing to them, and they bring busloads of 6 to 15 people. And
For tastings?
yeah, 2 of those a week for 12 weeks would be also amazing. We had our first one last weekend, so actually brought in a staff person, lost a bit of money just to make sure that customer was seeing us as a viable site to visit, even in shoulder seasons.
And how many people come, and that's 16 weeks, and how many people come in one of those groups?
Well, it's our first visit of 2026 from a tour company. We had 10 people come.
So you could say that like an average size is 10. So that inventory is 2 a day times 2 days per week times 16 weeks times 10 people. And that's 640 more wine taste. That's group wine tasting. You could also just do it by the group where you just say 2 times a week times 2 days times 16 weeks. That would give you the number of groups, but if you wanted to do it by number of seats, it would be another 640. And so, okay, I won't, I want to open it up for some questions about inventory, but that, so if you don't establish how many units of inventory you have to sell, you can't possibly figure out how much you might make from your business. It's like you have to know how many cans of soup are on the shelf in the store to know how much soup you're gonna try and sell. We all know you might not sell all the soup. You might end up with 2 cans that no one ever buys. And in tourism, that happens all the time because our inventory expires every day. If we don't sell the wine tour that day, that wine tour is gone forever. It's not a can of soup sitting on a shelf. It's actually expired at the end of the day. Kim.
Can I just give you a quick rundown? And I think this is kind of what you're looking for. So I do this all the time and I play with numbers all the time. I love numbers. So when I look at my season is 180 days. So I guess from an understanding, what is absolutely possible at the very top end from my inventory. So my campsites are, there's 48, there's 27 of them. So it's 4860. I've already done the math. You don't have to do the math, Deneen. So that's 218,000 if every single campsite is full every single day. That is possible. Who knew? Who knows in this world? It's not about what's not possible, it's what is possible. So 1,080 powered campsites, which is $59,400 for the season. Small cabins, 135,000 because there's 900 there's 5 of them, so there's 900 operating days, so 135,000. Large cabins, now we're talking about $70,000, $200. Small trailer, 13.5. Large trailer, 70,000. Again, for a total of 687,000. Now,
at 100% occupancy. So what?
100% occupancy.
That's the potential for my property if I sold every
single unit
that I create.
So then I also have to take that. Now that is at my regular rate. So of course I have a certain number of days where I'm doing dynamic pricing during the weeks. Again, I'm going to break those out. Same thing with May and June, which is low season for me. I break those numbers of days out and I do the math according to the dynamic pricing that I'm using. Higher in the summer, lower in the fall, right? Lower in the spring. And then I start doing what if I was 10% full? What if I was 20% full? What if I was 30% full? What if I was 40? This is when I start forecasting, right? Yeah. When Mark says, well, generally we do this, but we don't know if you're going to know your business. And at some point though, no, I don't know what's going to happen, but I can try and take a guess. And this is what I'm aiming for this year. And this is what I'm going to measure myself against and make decisions on how many people I'm going to hire, how much supplies I'm going to have, those types of things. So I'm nowhere near this. This is like a pipe dream of epic proportions.
It's
good to know.
It's so good to know. And I think this is what is so, for me, always so enlightening is like, oh, we could get there. We may not get all the way there, but let's look at what's happening in the market. Let's look at our pricing. Let's, adjust. But we know every single type of inventory, and you've got it really worked out, Kim, into all the different types of
absolutely. And then you get into, again, then obviously we're going to get into costs and stuff that come with that. But so again, it's what's absolutely 100% possible. And this is, if the world went perfectly, then this is what is possible for me. Right.
That's what I love. That's what I love. And you've already even moved on to the next thing I want to talk about, which is demand and like your occupancy. But first I want to come back to Denise. And Denise, you also have a unit of accommodation. So, unmute. You're on mute.
And when we talk about stats, I built an Excel sheet that's really detailed on guest intel because we're Airbnb and Airbnb does not share this intel. So every guest I've got it since the beginning of January, December 25, all the way through. So I have my occupancy rates. I know exactly when our lows, when our highs are, and the whole bit. And I really highly suggest that that's what you do, is that you put a guest, it's called a guest intel. And that's what I do. And so then I can see repeats, I can pull stats. Now, interestingly enough, here in BC, we had our STR, the short-term rental BS happen, right? That shut down all the Airbnb units. Well, last year at this time, we were top scale because there was demand because there were only so many of us that were permitted legally. Now I'm competing against between 400 and 600 units in the city. How do I keep up there? So I started doing I started watching it and doing intel on what's happening in the market here. I've been able to position myself in the top on page one between the 6th and the 9th ranking consistently now. I'm 6 to 8, 6 to 8. And the algorithm is loving that. So it's
Do you do that? Can I ask, do you do
Yeah.
that because of reviews, or is that something manual that you're doing that keeps you in the top ranking?
manually. So I'm working with AI and I'm doing tests. So I did an initial test for 7 days on the market where I was positioned, the same test every day, about the same time every day. And I test where we're sitting in the rankings. And I also track, did we get inquiries? Did we get bookings? Did we secure? Did we get conversions on that day? So all of that is being tracked in this Intel Excel sheet. And that way I can test. And I just did a review of the market and we're sitting right at that premium. So I was able, the algorithms, how they work is they test you, they throw you at the bottom, then they throw you at the top, and they just test. The algorithm is constantly testing where you're going to sit in the rankings. And now I'm sitting between 6 and 8 consistently on page one. I'm not in the top, but I'm in that booking, I'm in that critical zone, which is great.
Well, and I love that you're using that data to understand demand, because
Mhm.
is it the number of inquiries and the number of bookings that the algorithm is pushing you up by? Is it seeing that there's so much activity on your property that it pushes you up? Is that why?
Yes, because we
Oh,
weren't getting bookings. As Kim remembers, I was panicking because we weren't getting the bookings. And then when I looked at our listing, we were at 12th position from the top. And I went, why is that? So that's why I built this Intel model. And this is why I've been running these tests. We're now on day 15, and I'm calculating every time we get an inquiry or a boost, it will now that we're stabilized in the last 5 days, we flex between 6 and 8. We move between those two positions.
well, and also it sounds like you're collecting all the data on your actual occupancy, like, okay, this is how many
Yes.
nights of each month we're selling. And so you use that information to learn and then every time you do a projection or update your projections, whether it's forecasting for next year or just forecasting for the next couple of months, that historical data is so valuable because it gives you confidence that, oh yeah, well, I was this busy last February. Can I be busier than last February? But you're able to benchmark more easily once you start collecting the data, tracking your occupancy, and using that demand knowledge to forecast, right? So
Yes.
I love that. I think that's great.
Knowing your occupancy rate is key. If I didn't know my occupancy rate, like I can tell you what my occupancy rate is in my high months, my low months, every month I can track it. And that's the most important thing. And to give you an example, in Kamloops, the STR occupancy rate between hotels and STRs is around 60, 65%. And we sit 10 to 15% higher than that.
That's fantastic. And I think that speaks to all of you who are delivering exceptional value. You'll always experience if you have a higher caliber product and you're delivering exceptional value, you'll always experience higher occupancy than the next guy, or girl. And I wanted to come back to Kim. You mentioned there are factors beyond your control. There are always factors beyond our control when we're forecasting. Like, who knew that, a war would start in Iran? I mean, it was like somewhat predictable, but no one knew when, right? So look at the disruption to the travel industry right now again. the cost of booking flights, just the cost of driving anywhere, it's impacting all of us, right? And all of our businesses around the world. So those things we can't control, but what that you can control is the caliber of what you're doing, the quality of the experience, the design, the delivery, the customer service, all the lovely things that you do. And you have connection to your local audience, your regional audience, like you have relationships. This is when it's so important, right? We always talk about, like, what am I doing with my business that is somehow helping mitigate what is going on in the world, right? Like, what is it that I could do that would bring some relief to that? I think that's a really important perspective for us to always have, especially these days. But Kyla, you have an interesting inventory. Describe yours. Yours is like not every day, and it's it's lots of line items because you have lots of experiences, right?
Yeah, so right now we're in sauna experiences, and typically we're open Thursday to Sunday. Our most popular is our private sauna experience, but then I also have different experiences in there too. Like we'll do a sled dog and sauna in January when the sled dog mushroom is available. I'll do a sauna and massage about twice a month. So then I put that in there. I have a Soul Sister sauna, which I'm offering on Thursdays. And then I do like a ski snowshoe and sauna, which I'm offering on Friday. So yeah, lots of different ones. So yeah, I was just actually looking at my forecasting spreadsheet and yeah, I've got lots of line items in there.
And I remember looking at that with you, but I was so, and I want to show this spreadsheet to the group, not your spreadsheet. But just the generic one for Firecircle, because I was so impressed when you built out the extra pages, the extra worksheets, because it is so important. Remember we did that exercise, like which one of these is making money and which experience is making money and which one is not making so much, which one should we tweak, which one should we delete, which one should I double down on? I mean, this is what has helped Kyla make decisions about her offerings. She has, how many, is this now 6 years?
Well, technically my fourth season with sauna. Yeah.
Okay. But then
Mhm.
before that, you were already doing the stand-up paddleboard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And some interpretive experiences or healing sort of experiences. So yeah, so I think just splitting out your inventory, not only as granular as it makes sense for you. Like if it's an experience that you can draw a circle around and you're charging a ticket price for it, like Mark's individual wine tasting or Mark's group wine tasting, those are worth creating a completely separate line item in your financials for, and tracking how many of these things am I going to offer in a year, and then how busy am I really going to be? How much of that inventory am I really going to sell? And so back to the demand or the occupancy, which is the third metric, the third horseman, you need market intel. So for let's say for Kim and for Denise and Mark, you need to know like what's going on with demand in your region. What are some of the geopolitical or climate issues that are affecting demand in your region? And that helps. And then just who's coming, I mean, it was a banner year in Canada last year for travel because no one was crossing the border into the US, or hardly, half as many people. Did that happen in your region? Did you feel it? Did you go, oh my God, there are like a lot more visitors here this year than there were last year? Canadians. So you're saying no, Denise, you didn't feel it. You didn't feel it.
Yeah, I mean, this year I felt it because we didn't have bookings. But once I figured out the algorithm, we're booked to the end of April practically, right?
Okay.
So,
So it
so,
was
but
more the algorithm thing, not necessarily the numbers of
But
people
it is, it's like today, this year, we were affected by the snow.
yeah.
We had skiers cancel left, right, and center, right?
Right.
I've never had cancellations. So we were impacted quite greatly with that.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up. And so that's why I went, whoa, like we are less than half in revenues than we were last year. Last year was a bumper year, but we had the STR issue. So there were only a few Airbnbs that were legal at that time. So we have different, we're going to have to track this over years to really
Yeah.
know.
It's constant, right? You constantly are paying attention to what's going on around me, what's affecting travelers to my region, who's coming, and now who has explored, and I know Mark, I gave you some homework to explore, who has explored the Destination Canada traveler segmentation and Aurora AI? Anyone? Oh, yes, Kim. Well, Kim, what's your experience been so far? Have you done your twin yet?
I looked up target markets. I looked up, like, I got an entire huge, and I'm on the right track, which is great. Like for my marketing and who I'm targeting, but it gave me different sectors because my market isn't just families, or my market's not just, there's different markets within the market itself. Right.
Yeah.
So, and it gave me a list of interests and stuff. So I'm using that when I'm creating my marketing. And it's actually been quite helpful to just have that. Again, that's pulled from data, right?
Oh, yeah. So just
it's pulled from data from the entire, country. So it was very, very specific about who my target market is, what their personas are, what their interests are, who I'm targeting and why, and all those things. So it's been helpful for sure.
I just want to give you a visual, everybody, of what I'm talking about. Can you see the screen here?
Yep.
So I went on to, it's actually, I just Googled Destination Canada traveler segmentation, and it brought me right to the data collective. And this is the traveler segmentation program. So go here first. And by the way, this page is really hard to find. So you can't just go to the Destination Canada website. You need to go to this URL, which I can.
Do you want to throw the link in? Yeah, throw the link in the chat for me. Because that's where I got it from last time.
Okay, so that's the traveler segmentation program. And then see up here so do that because you want to understand that first. And then before you go to Aurora AI, do that. Then go to Aurora AI and see I'm up here in the little menu bar. It's not the most intuitive navigation. And watch any videos or whatever introduction they have here for you. But and to be honest, I have not done all of this stuff, right? But what you want to do is now you want to launch watch all the stuff first, then do this, launch the Traveler Twin. And what it does is it's now you have to really know your business to be able to enter stuff into this website, right? And this is, why Firecircle, like, do you understand everything that you're doing with your business? But then enter as much information as you can, and it will come up with the exact person who should be coming to your business and where to find them, what they want to do. It's like zeroing in, so many of you have asked, how do I find a bigger audience, or where do I find more people? Do this. In Firecircle, we have the primary and secondary target audience that we do in step 4. That's still very valid because it actually gives you all the questions to input into this, right? What they read, where they spend their money on, what their values are. Sure, it has demographics as well, like how much money they might make, what kind of education they have, but it gets deeper and deeper into creating these personas for you, or the traveler twin that is the perfect audience for your particular business. And it's so custom. So Mark, this is definitely something I really want you to do after you watch all the 5x5 videos. Then do this. Don't do this first, because I really think that this, most of you, except Sharon, I'm not sure about you, but everyone else on the screen has done the entire 5x5. So they've got context for all of this, right? Even if you just watch all the videos, you're going to have like this new context for what you would enter into the questions for AI, because it still is garbage in, garbage out, right? If you put in really quality prompts, really good contextual prompts into this, you will get superior outputs. And there have been case studies already that Destination Canada has done where, you know, a business that was sort of like trucking along at 50, this was, I think, a business out in Nova Scotia, you know, trucking along at 53% occupancy. And it was an experience company. I'm going to say it was like some sort of excursion business, and can't remember exactly. It jumped up to like 80 percentile somewhere, you know, from 53%, boom. And it was because they were able to do super targeted marketing. And that's how you can use this. I really encourage you to do that. And that's how you can drive demand for your business, right? It's just really zeroing in using these AI tools. And don't be scared of this stuff. It's all like you just start typing stuff in, it'll blow your mind what starts coming out, right? But you do need good context. You do need to know your own business before you can get it to understand what you're doing. And then, wow, you know, it's very impressive. I watched a few demos, and I actually have not like gone in and done a whole bunch of stuff myself, but I watched some pretty phenomenal demos on this. And so pricing, we'll get to pricing now. And I also was going to bring up the spreadsheet that we have for Firecircle. Let's see if I find it. So give me 1 second. So let's see here. Yeah, I also wanted to show you what our tool is within Firecircle for doing your forecasting. And somehow I think I've managed to close that file. So give me 1 second, I'll get it open again. And some of you have used this already, so I won't belabor it too much, but I do want to show it to those of you who may not have used it yet. And you would only have access to this if you're actually in the 5x5 program. So here we go. It's my practice copy. Okay, so I'm going to pull this over and share the screen again for you guys. Just a quick show of hands. On the screen here, who is, and I know Kyla, you are, who's familiar with the forecasting template that we use at Firecircle? And Mark, okay. Oh, you all are. So Sharon, I just don't know if you are. Sharon, give me a little thing in the chat and let me know, because I don't want to belabor this if all of you know what I'm talking about. But this is, if I go straight to the forecasting part of it, it'll show all of our, you're all familiar with this, right? The products and can someone repeat the website? Okay, so Sharon, the website, can you see the link? You might not be able to see it if you're on your phone, but it's Destination Canada, and it's the segmentation. And so I put the link in the chat there. I think you got it now. Okay. So Sharon, I'm just looking to see if you have seen this worksheet. Can you give me a sign I have an older copy. Kyla, yes, you can have this one. I can give you a link to this one. And I don't know, Sharon, if you've seen this before, but yes, it's pretty similar, but I don't even know if there'd be any changes, Kyla, but there could be, because that was a few years ago, and now we have break-even analysis and things on it. But those metrics that I was talking about are the number of days you're open in the month, the amount of available inventory of that particular product, and that gives you the total. So, so have you manipulated this a bit, Mark? Like you've played around with this? Like have you put your, let's say are all the rooms sold at the same price at the inn? Or are they all different prices? You're on mute. Can you go, you're on mute. Sorry. Oh,
We have 2 classes of rooms and 3 different seasons. So there's potentially 6 different prices depending on when you book. And we're trying to be also, there's price matching tools in Expedia and booking.com that we're looking at. And we're, I'm looking at competitors from time to time. And when you look at our Google identity, it shows competitor pricing. So we're trying to be, in the sweet spot. And it's definitely not an exact science.
It's not, it definitely takes some finessing. What is, when you say there's 2 classes of rooms, what are the 2 types of rooms?
We have a room with a bathroom, and we have a queen room suite, which is a little bit bigger. And then we have a room that has two bedrooms together. So we have 2 different price points.
So you have one, what's in the room with the ensuite? It sounds like you have 3 types of rooms. So you have a queen room with an ensuite. That's one.
Yeah. Yeah.
One queen ensuite. And then what's the other type of room?
Just a more basic room. So you have 4 bedrooms, 2 at price X and 2 at price X plus.
Okay, and they're all ensuite.
They're all different rooms. They all have slightly different configurations, whether they have a balcony or not. They're all
They all
different
have a bathroom. They all have a bathroom.
One room has only a 2-piece bathroom. The bath is a separate room.
Okay, so that would be a completely different class than the other 4 rooms.
No, we sell it at the same price as the queen room suite because it has 2 bedrooms connected together. So if you're mom and dad with 2 kids, one price gets you 2 bedrooms, but the bathroom, the toilet and shower is across the hall. Not everyone,
Okay.
people
Okay.
don't like that. They generally like the private, completely private bathroom.
Yes. So the benefit of that room is that it's got 2 bedrooms though, so it kind of makes a little bit of for the fact that it's not en suite.
Yeah,
So,
but if someone inquires, we do deals. So I encourage people contact me for a deal. If price
right.
sensitivity is an issue, and I um, uh, detect that in some initial contact, then I'll trigger a live conversation to find their sweet spot. What are the barriers and remove them. And if price is a barrier, say, well, when do you want to come? And if it's midweek, we have no other bookings, we'll offer them some kind of a deal. We're not looking to discount, but if that's gets a
Yeah.
booking where it's otherwise empty, that can of soup is gone, right?
That okay, let me ask you another question because a lot of buying decisions these days, if you had to phone somebody or email them, you won't get the booking. So all of you are online bookings. Mark, are you online?
They come from all sides.
No, but I mean, they may phone you, but could you have an availability calendar and an online booking? I can book without talking to you.
Yeah, we have a website, and we use Servoy software, and the Servoy software um, uh, groups all the bookings from booking.com, Expedia, and our own direct bookings. And yes, you can book a room online, and
Okay.
we get an email right away. And then one of the things that we haven't done and may do is require people to put in their credit card number, but that's a high cause of shopping cart drop off. which means people go online, they start a booking, but they don't finish it because they're scared to put their visa number. We have to develop.
Well, no, they're not, no, that's not, in the accommodation sector, cart abandonment is not a huge problem, because the thing about travel is people are usually trying to book when the intent is already set. They're not shopping necessarily, although they may be comparing properties, and so they're looking at calendars, they're looking at different room configurations, they're looking at product. They're definitely shopping, but I mean, I could be completely off base here. I don't think so. When people go to book a room, they've already done the comparison shopping by the time they get to the shopping part, and they're ready to book. So I wouldn't fear that. I think it's actually a barrier to people being able to. So then, how do they make a booking if they're not encrypting their credit card? Because that's what makes people nervous, is when they can't encrypt their credit card.
Well, we just call them back. It is a booking. They just don't have to pay till they get there.
Okay, so you don't take any credit card information for future processing. You just do the transaction on a terminal once they arrive, but
And
nothing.
I'm clearly acknowledging that you're giving me feedback. That's not a good practice. So I get that. And we'll take that under advisement and think about that a bit.
Well, only that what we're trying to do is remove the barriers to booking, right? And how do you know that customer journey through the online process? So these days, everyone wants to know, what can I book and when, and they want certainty. So if you're already emailing them that the booking is confirmed, and they get a confirmation email, and they don't have to give you their credit card information, that's super awesome for them, not super awesome for you because of cancellations. So a cancellation, and the thing is that we're so used to this as consumers. We are so used to, we gotta give a guarantee, a credit card to guarantee the room. We know if we don't show up, depending on the cancellation policy, we may give up an admin fee, we may give up a room night, we may lose the entire booking if we don't show up. But it is so standard now, it is so expected by the consumer that but do the thing that makes the most sense for you operationally, and also is a mutually nice way for your clients to make a booking. So I don't think it has to be a barrier. I think it might be doing a disservice to you, because they have no skin in the game. If they don't show up, you lose the booking, they don't lose anything. Right?
Yeah, that's a very good point. In fact,
And
we
you're
find
small.
that the people that book online, that they've come into us because of word of mouth or some marketing piece we've done. They've seen a thing on social media or friends recommended, and the cancellation rate for those people who book directly with us online but don't leave a credit card is like very, very low. Like, most people proceed and stay, and when we contact them, we send them a custom check-in package that's got a mood of warm and intimate, and we use chat GPT to help polish those words up a little bit. And that seems to work very well for people. It's the booking.com Expedia people that are really flaky, and we'd rather not use those channels at all, but we don't have enough demand from our own marketing efforts yet to ignore those channels. So we're working with the cancellation policy settings on those two tools to find the sweet spot. But it's people coming from all sides with different agendas, so there's no one size fits all cancellation policy that works for all customers. You have to just be.
Well, you can create a pretty consistent one that serves your business, that protects your business a little bit, because you are a very small property, and then you still want it to be flexible enough. So, gosh, Kyla, we've had this conversation. We've all had this conversation. But anyway, so I was just trying to understand, like, if there were any barriers along the way to purchasing a room at Mythology, but it doesn't sound like it. The only thing that sounds like might happen is that you lose a booking from a cancellation and don't get anything for that room night, and you have an empty room night.
We got about 1/3 of booking.com cancel and about 25% of Expedia. And in every single instance, I send that person a personal email ask them why did they cancel and try and find out what their reason was. But those tools don't give us the person's email. They just give us a generic at booking.com or generic at Expedia. So I've started a practice where I'll text them our check-in package and ask them for their personal email so we can be in direct contact and we're not filtered through the robots that those companies use, which are horrible.
And
All
Denise,
about creating intimacy and getting direct contact with the customer.
yeah,
Once we talk to them, then it's
yeah,
golden.
yeah. Well, I think because all of you have probably used this, I won't do a demo, but if I were to just do 1 month, let's say, okay, we're in the month of March. So you have 31 days available right now. Uh, you have 31 days. I'm not going to let me do this now. Oh, I have to go back to it. You have 31 days available in March. Jumping over. Okay, Kyla, before I send you this, I have to figure out why it's doing that. Because it didn't seem to take that. Okay, I'm not going to do this right now. It might, like, I don't know if it's because I copied the spreadsheet over. But anyway, you enter your number of days you're open, the number of rooms you have, which is 5. That gives you your total inventory. And just so you know, it will populate automatically into your forecast. So this one here, it'll start populating into these cells. So you can type right into these cells, or you can use the other tabs to populate these cells. We're going to do more private members only training on financials, and we're also going to do business plan completion using AI tools in the coming months. So I'm excited to do some of those. I'm excited to do some of those sort of more intimate sessions with you guys. Any questions about pricing? As Mark, he said, I've come to this because it's about pricing. Pricing, of course, as you all know, I say it all the time, is a signal from the marketplace. It's not something artificial that we just apply. It sounds like a lot of you are doing a lot of listening to what's going on. Mark, you're listening to what's happening on booking.com, on other channels. Those channels will tend to commoditize you into just being about price. And that's what I think what's so interesting about what Denise is doing with Airbnb is she's kind of making sure that her property does not get commoditized. She just keeps making sure that, you know, the inquiries are coming in because she's doing some interesting things out there with her property, making sure the value's there. Denise, what else would you say is a tip in that regard?
Well, I just pulled some stats in your area there, Mark. And we're looking at a typical occupancy range amongst the wineries in the South Okanagan, Osoyoos area is a 60 to 75% average. That's hotels, STRs. This isn't typically, this is all occupation, right?
Annualized? Is that annualized? Meaning
That's annualized, yes. Oh no, this is for May. This is just for May.
for
So
May of
I
last
pulled
year.
some projections for May. So you're looking at 60 to 75% on average in your area, weekends 80 to 95%, and weekdays 40 to 65% occupancy.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds about right. I hope it's that high. I hope there's no weird climate things again up there that hamper that.
It's just
Is that a
projection.
projection for May? Is that a projection for
Yes,
May?
that for next month. Yes, for May.
For May.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those, I mean, so those give you some metrics about what you could expect, and then where does your property sit in that. Now, it's not like if you look at your annualized occupancy, not just 1 month, it's going to be way lower than that because in the Okanagan, the winter just like crushes occupancy on almost all properties except the snowbird property. So I would be surprised if it were higher than 50% on an annualized basis, meaning it counted all availability, all occupancy for the whole year. But then as you get into the months, this is where you figure out whether it's a bell curve for you or whether it goes up and down for you through the year. What is your demand curve over the course of the year? And that's what you match your pricing to, right? That's what Airbnb is naturally doing with a property like Deneen. Kim, you're not using Airbnb, are you? You use it a bit, yeah?
I am actually, and the Airbnb now my software. So I have campground specific software, which is Firefly, and it connects to
Frozen.
Airbnb calendar as well as so you, yeah. Sorry, did you lose?
We might have lost you there.
Yeah.
Signal. Right when you're giving a good answer. Yeah. It broke up there, Kim, so we missed that. But I think what you were saying is it's tracking on couldn't hear you.
Absolutely lovely because I cannot imagine.
Okay, well we'll have to get that answer from you on the next call. Sorry, it didn't come through at all.
Oh no.
Yeah, it didn't come through at all.
Let me get closer. I'm up north, so
yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
We can hear you, but it's still broken up.
Can you hear me now?
Kind of, yeah. I realized I may not have hit send on that link before, so sorry about that. Okay, well, we're at the top of the hour, so I am going to sign us out. I believe next week is it? No, it's not the journey. I think it's another Q&A with Carrie. Anyway, I hope you'll come back and these conversations will continue. And Mark, just, reach out if but you have to do your homework first, and then you can reach out and we can have a longer conversation. I refuse to answer questions that will be answered in the 5x5 program if you're in the 5x5. By the way, we're setting up a 5x5 method. It's actually an Ask Firecircle AI agent, and it answers all the questions within all the resources that we have for Firecircle, which is somewhere over 900 assets, which over 900 sets of resources in Firecircle's library. And so we're training it on all of this information. So I've been testing it and I'm quite impressed by, so if you were working through one of the concepts in the 5x5 or anything in your business, it technically could answer that to a fairly deep degree. And it started iterating. I asked it to start to frame up my emergency response plan. Well, we don't have an emergency response plan built in Firecircle, but it started iterating on its own and it came up with a pretty good one. And that's within the closed system of Firecircle's resources. So that's not the same as going out to chat or to, OpenAI or to Anthropic. It's just within but anyway, I thought you might get a kick out of that. And guess what? That mentor does not cancel any meetings or, and is always available 24/7.
But you don't get the human aspect in it.
It's
The
a,
mentorship.
it's a supplementary thing. Where would we be without our mentors? Thank goodness. But it is a nice kind of quick answer thing where, you may not have a meeting with your mentor for another week or something, and you just want to ask them. So we'll experiment. We may even send a couple of you the link to test it out. Tell us what you think. And
I'd love to test it, Deneen.
yes, I think I would get you to test it. I get a few of our regulars to test it. Thank you for being here today, and I hope this was useful. I know that we talk about these concepts a lot. Kyla, was there anything specific that you wanted to ask about? I am always conscious, those of you who come to a lot of these sessions, including all of you on the screen right now, I want to make sure I answered your question if you had a specific one.
Well, I don't have a specific question, but an observation that I've been noticing, and maybe you can comment on this or save it for another chat. But I've noticed that in Saskatchewan, our prices for specifically retreats tend to be a lot lower than other regions and areas. And I have been chatting with people from outside of Saskatchewan that has shared with me that, my prices are low. Now, a lot of other retreat facilitators are charging fairly low prices, and I think it's because this is like a side hustle for them and not like a full-time thing. So I've heard comments that my prices are high, right? But I feel like I'm just sort of creeping up and, maybe just stretching people's comfort zones a little bit in Saskatchewan. And I just am wondering if you have experience with that, right? I feel like I'm sort of like that top dollar amount right now in Saskatchewan, just trying to creep it up a little bit more.
I do have a comment on that, and I truly believe that you can be the leader in pricing. You don't want to be commoditized with the rest of the pack. We've seen a lot of a downward pressure on pricing in rural and remote because that's what everyone else is charging. And then I use the Zeta Cobb example all the time. And then you have someone like Zeta Cobb who goes and builds Fogo Island on a rock on the
Yeah.
eastern edge of Newfoundland and is charging. I mean, I think when I stayed there, it was half. I was getting a 50% off rate, and it was $900 a night.
Mm,
So it
right.
was $1,800 a night. But what had she done there? It was
Hmm.
just so again, it's that you have to believe in what you're doing and
Right.
the value proposition. I always come back to that. It's the audience you've done it for. So you're aiming at a particular audience that will value what you're doing and will make that exchange of money for the experience. So
Right.
this is why even this new AI, Aurora AI tool is so interesting. It's like you could really hone in on just exactly who
Hmm.
is my core audience and what is their tolerance for edging up the pricing. And also, is there an audience that I'm not even aiming at yet that could be even higher? For this
Right.
bundle of things that I'm doing would actually value it at a higher price. So it's two things. It's who am I aiming it at and what would they value? And also, is what I'm doing really worth the money that I'm asking if I go out in the wider world? Like, stop looking in your own backyards, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you're only ever going to cater to your own backyard, which is
Mhm.
valid. And even then you can be the price leader in your neighborhood. And also, like, weirdly, it actually opens up the market a bit on the price, on the sort of the market expectation. And
Mhm.
it weirdly helps everybody else because it's sort of like,
Yeah.
oh, Kyla's getting that price and this is what she's doing. And, it's like Fogo Island being there and it's like, oh, wow. Like, Zeta did that. We're going to build a B&B down the road from Fogo Island, and we can easily get $600 a night because we're going to be doing this bundle of things, and she's charging this. So this is a good value proposition. So it's always like benchmarking off of what's happening, really studying your audience, and then believing in that what you're doing is truly special enough for the price increase that you want to make. So,
Can I add something to that too?
yeah.
So
Mm.
you're worth it. You are worth it. If somebody wanted a retreat hot spot or hot tub experience and they had to travel to Alberta or Ontario to do that, how much would that cost them then? Right? You can cost justify all of this. You are not like the rest of them.
Be careful with that, because I mean, well, if I said what I think I'm worth, like no one could afford
Yeah.
my services, right? So it's like we have to be somewhat, we have to believe that exactly what you're saying, Denise, like we're worth it. And we also have to pay attention to what the market will bear and believe is our worth for our offerings. So we have to be careful, because I have had, I think one of the most dangerous statements that a business can make is that, well, like, like people should pay this because it's worth, like of course it's worth this amount of money. It's like, yes. And
Can I differentiate though? This is internal data. This is not external. This is only internal data for you, right?
the mindset,
The mindset,
yes,
right?
yes,
How you
yes.
market that is completely different. You
Yeah.
can't go out, I am the best in the business. I mean, I wouldn't be in operation if I did that. What it comes from is studying your stats and moving into that direction with the belief that you are worth it, that you are better than the average, that you offer this, and it's a value add when you're offering it in Saskatchewan instead of people having to travel out of province. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think there's a real big element of that. It's having the confidence in our own mindset about the value of what we're doing, and then getting that validated by the market, like with constant back and forth research and listening to our customers. Right? So, yeah.
Thank you.
I love all of these pieces are probably, well, brand story is just a huge thing for me, but because that's how we, build the value in our businesses. But these pieces, because I also, like Kim, I love the numbers. It's like, how do we get those numbers? So I love that part. Thank you, everyone. Great conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
We'll see you guys. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Everybody.